Now this is going to be fun because we're going to take this image of, well, this is the Long Beach Indy that I shot from one of the press windows that's against the fence. Kind of a cool little spot where you can see the cars racing around. And this was shot on a Sony, actually. This is shot on the A7R. So this is a 40 or something megapixel file. Very large resolution. I think it's like 37 or 38 megapixels. On a Zeiss 2470 f4 lens at 1/1000 of a second and ISO 125. Now the cool thing about this is we're going to crop this image, and I mean absolutely obliterate this crop. Because, well, I want to show you guys how far you can push a crop on a high resolution camera, and also how we're going to edit it to kind of bring out the details. I want to go for a very poppy, high contrast, HDR kind of a look that really brings out the energy in this scene. So let's go ahead and start with our cropping tool. We're going to go and drop this to a 2:1 crop. Otherwise, you can hit enter custom if it's not one of the recent ones that you've done. Press 2, hit enter. And then pull in from the corner while holding down shift. And we are going to pull into this little tiny corner, making this guy the star of the show. So basically what I'm going for is we're going to make it look as though this guy's kind of in the foreground. This guy's the star of our show, our DHL car, and he's racing around, and so he's our focus. And look at this. We still have incredible detail in this image. I mean, I'm known for shooting some soft shiz, but this is still pretty dang focused for a crop that's this extreme. I mean, look at how much we've cropped out. And we are ending up with still like, well, a lot of pixels, almost a 15 to 18 megapixel file even after this has been cropped in. Okay, so, and we can actually see, by the way, if we want to see that information, we could always go and tweak our information to show megapixels, and it'll actually show us megapixels instead of the actual pixel number. Should I do that? Why not? Let's press the grid view. I want to press Control Shift or Control J just to bring up our library view options, and let's go to loop view. And on the info, let's change this to not crop dimension, but let's change this to actually megapixels. Okay, and close that out. So let's see if it actually tells us. And it looks like it's telling us right now. I wonder if it'll give us the cropped. So let's see. Let's press I to bring up our information. Right now it's showing us megapixels. Let's see if we can get back to, so let's go crop and let's go develop view. Okay, so it's showing megapixels, but I wonder if it'll show cropped megapixels. Let's see, crop dimensions. I guess that's all we got, crop dimensions. But it doesn't show us the actual megapixels. That's fine. At least we had a little review of Lighting Crash Course. Control J or Command J to get into the view options. Okay, so let's go ahead and start editing this image. I'm going to start by pulling down our highlights. We want to retain highlights. I want to retain whites. We're going to start pulling up the shadows, and we're going to pull up the blacks. I want to save the black detail. Let's go up to 60 on the shadows actually and pull down the blacks. Okay, so we want this to be like that HDR kind of a look. So I'm going to go this 80, 80, 60, 60. We're going to pump up the clarity. I want that high energy vibe. I want to go for a lot of extra contrast. And before I dial in all my contrast, let me go ahead and just drop in my tone curve too. So we're going to get extra contrast out of the tone curve, and I want to make sure I have it in there. Okay, pull up in the midtones a little bit, pull up midtone highlights, pull down in the highlights, a little bit in the midtone highlights. That's solid. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and darken the exposure now because we have a good amount of detail present. Let's press J just to bring up our highlight and clipping alert, and look at this. The histogram is just cracking. It's like a party up in there. Look at all that histogram juices. So I do want to actually deepen the shadows a little bit. So I want to get a little bit of pure shadow into the image. And we're just going to pull this down a little bit. I want to get also a little bit of pure highlight into the image with some nice bit of whites. And then let's go ahead and deepen the exposure a little bit more. Okay. This is starting to look really cool, like a very high energy, awesome edit. Awesome edit? I don't know. Yeah, it kind of looks cool. Okay, I think it looks cool. Let's find a white balance. I'm just clicking on some different white objects in the scene, getting kind of an approximation of where we should probably be. And the closest thing I got to was actually this little Tinsei thing, which takes me, where was I at with the beginning? So at 4 and then 59, I was at 5400. So I do want it to be a little bit on the warmer side. So I kind of like that look, like 56, 50 maybe. And then we'll add in a tiny bit of split toning. Turn off the highlight and clipping layer by pressing J at this point. And then let's go ahead and move down. And let's do this. I want to reduce a little bit of the overall saturation, a little bit of the oranges. I want to keep the yellows because I want that car to pop. And I want to reduce the other tones a little bit. Okay, so we're going to make our yellow car just kind of pop and be the featured car. I'm also going to add a little bit of the split toning just to kind of add a little bit of yellow hue over the image. And let's go ahead and bring it up to like 50 so we have a little bit of more richness to it with a little bit of oranges in it. I don't need anything in my shadows. It looks totally fine where it's at. Now, since we're doing such an extreme crop, we are going to sharpen the shiz out of this guy. All right, let's bring this up to about 130, and let's take the masking up significantly. Let's take the radius up a good amount. Let's add some noise reduction to compensate. Okay, so what this noise reduction is going to do in addition to the masking is we're going to soften up kind of everything, like all the fine details. So if you look at this, this is what's actually being sharpened. So hold down Alt or Option and click that. And we can even continue to pull up to like 90. And now we're just sharpening those fine edges around everything. So if we turn this on and off, let's take a look. So look at that. Look at how much detail we're revealing from there. And we actually still do not increase too much noise reduction. So that's like a little fine balance, a little fine mamma jamma there in adding some noise reduction to kind of compensate. All right, so let's do this too. So what I want to do is I want to put off this kind of a little bit of a tone as if this is kind of getting this sunlit, you know, sunset kind of a look to it. So I'm going to go actually plus 15 on my saturation for my highlight toning. Let's actually bring in a little bit of shadow toning. So I'm going to bring it in maybe on the 30 side and at 5, not 55, but 5. Okay, and let's go ahead. And this is a great tool for, a great time for dehaze as well, because we're shooting a little bit far back and we're also zooming in across the group. So a little bit of dehaze will kind of cut through that and just add a little bit of extra contrast and cut away some of the haze in the image. Not a ton, but there's a little bit. Pressing J again just to kind of check on everything. We still have good detail. We still have good everything. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull that attention right into the center with a radial, and we're going to go and bring that into this dude. This dude is our star player. I'm going to actually make the exposure about 0.3 so it looks like this natural kind of darkening effect. And then what we're going to do is grab a graduated filter, pull down from the tizop. It's getting late, guys. It's getting late. We're nearing the end. We're just kind of rounding this out. So I'm getting a little cray-cray on you. It's all right. Don't worry about it. Okay. This is looking pretty dang cool, if I do say so myself. So we have this cool, rich, warm toning to it. We have this great high energy shot. We have a lot of clarity in the image. And when you look at this, I mean, it just looks. So look at this. Let's go and turn out our lights by pressing L. Let's press before and after. This freaking looks like it came out of some movie. Like we just grabbed this from a Jerry Bruckheimer film. I love that racing film. Anyway, has a very cool cinematic tone to it, and that crop looks absolutely fantastic. And we've done this with this original image. Look at this. This is the coolest part about it. Let me go ahead and turn back on the lights by pressing L. Let's create a virtual copy. And with this virtual copy, I'm actually going to leave the crop the way it is. So let's leave the crop so we can kind of compare these side by side. Go Shift Tab to go full view, and press N to go into survey view. So from this kind of poopy shot, we get to this. And that is to show you guys that, I'm going to go ahead and go into loop view and just kind of show you guys before and after on this. This is to show you all that with high resolution, I know a lot of people think megapixels, you know, we don't need extra megapixels, but they do play a very significant role in how much detail is captured, how much you're able to crop. Granted, you need to make sure you capture the detail to begin with, but it does make a big difference. And hopefully you're seeing that with these high megapixel cameras. You can work out with a crop that originally was kind of wide. You couldn't get into the right shot in the right place for whatever reason, maybe not the right lens, and get to a fantastic image, and the resolution helps you to get there. So that's one use for awesome resolution. Another use is, of course, just having amazing detail for enlargements and so forth, like on a Phase 1 camera. Let's do one last thing. I'm going to create one additional virtual copy, and then let's go ahead just so we have that cropped view. So let's go lens corrections and crop, copy that, and then paste that over this. So now we actually have a before and after comparison to just the same crop. So you guys can now see how big of a difference that is. Cool beans, cool beans. Let's go on to the next tutorial.